All right, we shall call this meeting to order. We have a quorum. Say your name.
Todd Carter.
Teresa Sanfilippo.
Billy Trujillo.
Jean Burt.
So we're going to start off with the Pledge of Allegiance to the US flag and then to the Texas flag. Ask everyone to join us, please. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America.
To the republic for which it stands,
Under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to the Texas one state, under God, one and indivisible.
one principle.
So there's two that we're going to talk about today, right, Gene? Two. All right, first public that we're going to consider is Lot 3, Block B on Land Trip. Oh, I'm sorry. What did I miss? Oh, I did miss it. I apologize. Okay, let me back up to the community announcement. Items of community interest may include recognizing citizens and staff for outstanding contributions to the community. A reminder that an upcoming event that is organized or sponsored by the governing body and announcements of an imminent threat to public safety that has arisen after the posting of this agenda.
No one's on.
No one. So we have no citizen input then. So, okay. So the two agenda items that we have for today, for the hearing and considering on the act of the request from DeLon Pruitt, property owner of Lot 3, Block B of Land Trip Addition located at 707 Land Trip Street, and I think it was Lane, for a variance from section 22 of the zoning district regulations to allow the construction of a single-family home on a lot less than 120 feet in depth. So
So if you all would like to do the staff presentation first, is that how you typically, the order you typically go in?
yes,
Okay. So I am going to be presenting on behalf of Kate today, who is on vacation. If you all could allow me to share my screen. Okay. Could you allow me to share my screen?
We're working on it. Give us a second.
she should be able to do it in person.
Yeah, but she has to have permission.
Oh.
LaShondra, you're the host now, so can you share your screen?
Yes, now we got it. Okay. So thank you for allowing me to present. I'm LaShondra Stringfellow, the Planning and Development Specialist for Messer and Forbes. So the first item on your agenda tonight is for a lot depth, to give a variance to that lot depth. So this property actually was previously platted. To give you just a general idea of where it's located, it's right here on the west side of the railroad tracks, just south of Pecan in Maine, and it's right at the end of Land Trip Street. So this is the plat that was actually recorded in 1986, and this was a year before you actually had zoning ordinance requirements for lot depth and setbacks for this particular zoning district. So this property is zoned as self 7.5. So with that self 7.5, of course, that is a minimum of 7,500 square foot lot. Also 110-foot lot depth. And then there is also a minimum 60-foot lot width. So with this particular lot, it has more than the lot width. It's like 30 feet more. But the problem here is the lot depth. So you see here, it ranges anywhere from 90.74 to 91 feet. And so they are about 20 foot short of the required lot depth for the zoning district. And this is a more close-up view of this lot. So one thing that you will notice here is that, yes, this lot is undeveloped. Looks like the property next to it did put a storage building on this side of it. So of course that would have to be removed. But for the most part, the lots within this area have been developed except for these two. And so these next criteria are from your zoning ordinance, and these are the criteria that your code says that the applicant has to demonstrate. So the burden of proof is on the property owner that they meet, and then staff is, also giving you an idea of, what we think that they have addressed. So the first one is special conditions and circumstances exist that are basically different to this land. Is there anything special about this lot that is different from all other SF75 lots? And so one of the things that I told you at the very beginning is this property is already platted. So there is a section in your code that actually allows for non-conforming lots of record. So this is something that you could consider in determining whether or not you want to grant the variance. Now, the second one is basically whenever the city looks at the interpretation of the code, is the code too strict? And so it reads that literal interpretation of provisions of this ordinance would deprive the applicant of rights commonly enjoyed by other properties in the same district under the terms of this ordinance. And so the way we're looking at it is denial of the variance would deprive the property owner building on the lot unless they were able to acquire property from the adjoining two parcels. And I'll show you which two parcels we're talking about. So it's these two lots here. And as you see, one of these does have an accessory building.
I can't hear all the details.
I don't think it has.
And so as you can see,
One second, what was that? Is it? Okay. Just she's like going in and out a little bit, and some of the details she's saying, I don't get.
Well, I don't think there's a speaker over y'all. They're right
Yeah.
okay, I'll try to talk. Let's see, maybe I can turn this up some.
That's better.
That's
yeah.
better.
I think that's what,
Okay, let me do this. Let me get a little bit closer here.
excellent, thank you.
So I'll go over the last part that I was just talking about. And so in order for this lot to ever meet lot depth, they would basically have to be able to purchase property from these two adjoining parcels. And so you all would have to determine, is that something that we feel like is too burdensome on the property owner? So the next condition that you're looking at is, are there special conditions and circumstances that do not result from the actions of the applicant? And this is saying basically that the applicant caused the situation. So they actually purchased the property from the original owner. And again, the property was actually platted correctly before the zoning occurred in 87. So the next one is the granting of the variance requested will not confer on the applicant any special privilege that is denied by this ordinance to other properties. So basically, if this variance were to be granted, is it treating it special or different for no reason, basically, than other properties would be treated in a similar zoning district? And we found that other property owners could still request similar variances. So you granting this would not preclude other parcels from asking for similar variances, and then you going through the same analysis. So no non-conforming use of neighboring land, structures, or buildings in the same zoning district, and no permitted use of lands shall be considered grounds for issuance of a variance. So one thing I did show you is that there are some other lots that were platted that don't meet the lot depth that were constructed up on. However, you're not supposed to use that as your sole reason, for approval. And so you're looking at all 5 of these as opposed to, just looking at one of the criteria. And so finally here, these were actually added on by the state about, I think it was 2 years ago. And I'm including them in here just so you all know that they are criteria. However, in this case, as well as in the next case, they're not applicable because there are no existing structures that you need to consider because they're going through the process to, get the variances before they construct. But these are items that you would consider, for example, if those structures were already had already been erected. And so finally, if you were to grant this variance, the variance to the lot depth would not alleviate any requirements of the building regulations or any other applicable codes to development of the property. So for example, anything regarding drainage, building code, they still have to meet those. So even if you said, okay, we'll allow you to have this lot depth variance, maybe they have to decrease the size of the building in order to meet some of those drainage requirements, for example. So these are potential motions that we have for you all. So if you do decide to approve, here's a motion for you approving it. You're approving it, finding that the application demonstrates these required criteria. And if you deny it, then you're saying that it does not meet the criteria. And so now I will turn it back over to you, Chair, to talk with the applicant.
Before we do that, can you go back to the map with the original plat survey? Yes.
Yeah.
So what size are the other ones in comparison to the one that's requesting a variance? It looks like there's a size difference.
Yeah, so in terms of they're all pretty similar, except because all of them are around 90 feet, anywhere from, I would say, 89 to 91 feet in depth, each of these 6 lots. So this one is vacant, and then that one is also vacant. You can see my plus sign there.
What is the minimum square footage you have to build?
7,500.
As far as the structure itself, is there a minimum on square footage?
Yes, sir, 1,200 square feet.
Do we know what the size of the property to the left of the blue square is? As we're facing it?
See this one right here. Let me see. Let me see if I can get that information from CAD.
Yeah, lot 3. You get better at it than I
I don't know about that. They're pretty similar in size, it looks like. They're pretty similar in size. I mean, there's a small difference.
The lot we're talking about is definitely wider. Maybe a bit deeper. On the street side.
Okay, so In terms of the actual square footage of that lot, it is 83. Oh, wow, it doesn't look like it's 8372, but it's 8372 according to Denton CAD. You're talking about this lot 3 in block A, right?
What you're seeing is in the yellow,
Yeah,
it looks smaller,
be, I don't know.
but if you look at the
It
drop,
does- It definitely looks smaller. And so, and it could be that maybe when this, well, no, CAD is usually pretty up to date. CAD is showing that it is 8372. Yeah. Just had to double check.
I think that's what it is. I think that.
what's the lot size we're considering? Both of them, both same size.
Both same size. I mean, it's gonna be tight. 100 square feet in there.
Well, all those houses. They're
Yeah,
all the same, they're all little lots, even when they're on the street.
But I think those are mobile homes. So I don't know if there's a structural difference in the way they're arranged, but when I went out there, it was really a tight area. So I'm a little concerned, I will say, with the variance is what, 20
feet
20 feet.
depth wise, yes.
LaShondra,
Yeah.
can you go back to the non-conforming part of the ordinance? So the part that's pasted there, non-conforming lots of record. B, yes. So what that says is that when you have a legal non-conforming lot, which we do here because it was platted prior to your zoning ordinance, that we're not taking into account lot depth. They fail to meet the minimum requirements for area width or depth. However, all other provisions of section 22 shall apply. So the variance is for lot depth. So this allows building even when the lot depth is not met. But they will have to adhere to setbacks and things like that, the other provisions of section 22.
Okay, well, and I think understanding that a little bit, that helps me to understand. When they build, just because it is a tight location.
Are all utilities already run? Electric, sewer, water, or
I
that
couldn't-
have
I
to be
did-
done?
I did- When I was out there, it didn't seem that way.
Okay,
The property owner,
Are they there?
they're all in, okay.
if you wanna open a public hearing and you guys.
Yeah. Yeah, we're gonna go ahead and open up the public hearing.
At 6:21.
What did I say? Dalen Pruitt. 608 Cadell Street.
You mentioned that all the utilities have already on the property.
All those 6 lots were developed with utilities. Gas, water, electric, and sewer.
Are you doing a slab or a pier and beam?
Slab.
What's your lot, what do you plan on the size of the house?
With the size of the house, we're meeting the requirements for the 25 feet off the back and 25 feet off the front and 8 feet off both sides. The lot 1 on the right side. That house was built 2 years ago.
The one right at the top of it
Yeah,
there?
lot 1, that one there.
Okay.
It was built 2 years ago, and I guess they applied for variance also. Because it has to be 25 feet off of Blue Bonnet and 25 feet off of Land Trip Lane. It's a 1,200 square foot house.
For drainage, yeah. And utilities.
Anyone else have any questions? I don't have any other questions. Anything else, Bud? I don't have any.
I don't think it's-
Anything to share with us that'll help us to better understand what you're trying to do?
No, just trying to build a house. That's really it.
You plan on living there or rent it out or what do you do?
Probably rent it out. We own the lot 3 also.
On lot 3.
Yeah, on the other side, on the left side.
What's the square footage of one on lot 3?
Oh, that is a mobile home and it's 1,000 square feet.
But that was done prior to. the-
Oh, yeah, that was 93. I think we moved in 93, 94. Then the house, lot 2, block B is a Jim Walker home, I think, Pyramid.
And I think you know most of the neighbors.
Oh, yeah, that was developed by my mother-in-law. And
Okay.
she handed it off to her kids and so we kind of took over some.
Anything else?
No, I'm good.
Anyone else would like to speak? Anyone online? Glad you reminded me this. There's a Zoom user, but I don't know. Maybe that's.
That's what's wrong.
All right, let's close the public hearing and the time is now 6:24 PM. Pause this one. Ma'am, what are your thoughts?
I have no objection. I mean, it was platted before everything came in, so.
Folks, any objections from you folks?
No, I mean, like I say, it's with her, it is planned for that and. They're meeting requirements as far as size and stuff like that. Now, the utilities are running out, my concern, utilities had to be run, something like that, that might be a little problem already there. Just a matter of hooking up some-
No, and the fact that that other one was just in 2020, I
Yeah.
think, so. I mean, nothing's changed for 2020 now, that would
Nah.
be different for that lot than the other.
I'm in the same hospital. Take a vote. Anyone wanna make
Most that you can read from up there. So
So that's, I move for approval. All right, great. Go ahead.
We makes a vote, a motion for approval, move to approve a variance to allow residential construction on the previously platted lot 3, block B of the land trip addition with a non-conforming lot depth to the SF 75 district. Excuse me, finding that the application demonstrates the required criteria. Any seconds? Good.
And then, you vote.
Okay, all right. All in favor? This is what happens when we're gone for a year.
Yeah.
Okay, could we open the next one and? All right, let's open the second agenda item here. Consider an act on a request from Vicky McElroy, property owner of lot 1R Block A of Pecan North. Addition located at 308 West Pecan Street for a variance from section 23B4 of the zoning regulations to allow a detached garage closer than 8 feet from the west property line.
Right, board members, so this variance is going to be to encroach up to 4 feet into the 8-foot side yard requirement for the construction of a one-car garage that is detached. Oh, went too far that time. Okay, so this is the property from a bird's eye view. This is the home. This purple area here is generally where they would like to construct the garage. So one of the things you'll notice is that there's already a paved driveway, and you can also see it here in the picture. And so the garage would actually be constructed over this driveway. And so one thing that you can see here, this DCAT line is a little bit off, which is not that uncommon. It's actually probably maybe actually here. So this would actually, where you see the fence lines is basically where the lot lines are. And so from the lot line to the house is approximately 20 feet. So this is what was submitted to us from the applicant. They did not have a formal survey. However, this is what the contractor sketched up for us. So one thing that you can see here is this is the driveway, which is here. This is where they would propose to construct that garage. And so from the garage to the lot line is approximately 5 feet. You know, again, this is not exactly to scale, but about 5 feet. And then from this eastern edge to where the house would be is about 3 feet as well. Now, again, one thing I want to say is this would, of course, have to meet all of the building code requirements. So even you issuing the variance, you know, would not negate any of those requirements still having to be met. So same similar criteria. I'm not going to bore you with reading them word for word like I did on the last one. But I will point out to you that there is somewhat of a different circumstance here. This is also one of those lots that it was platted, and when it was platted, it actually had a lot width that was less than 60 feet. So with it having the lot, let me go back to the area here I was show. So the lot width here, I believe it's around 54 feet. So that does somewhat constrict, you know, what can be placed on the lot, at least horizontally, that is. The other two criteria, at this time, there was no evidence to substantiate it. However, the applicant, of course, will let her speak, and she may be able to provide some information to these circumstances, and I will leave this up for when the applicant comes to speak. Also, in looking at other variances, you know, similar properties, again, other property owners could also request similar variances and probably have, because it does appear that there are some, you know, in that general vicinity where they've also constructed either carports or garages in the area. However, we know that can't be the sole reason for granting the variance, but it is just information for you all to have. And also similar to the last case, all of the additional criteria that the state added a couple years ago, because the building is not constructed, none of those are going to apply to this particular case. And so again here, we'll need the concurring vote, you know, 75% of the board members in order to approve. And these are your potential motions. So I'm going to go back to the other slide. And then you all can open your public hearing if you don't have any questions for me.
We'll open the public hearing at 6:31 p.m. Do you have any questions?
Yeah, how long was the driveway there from the start?
No,
Yeah. Yes, ma'am.
yeah, so the public hearing, so you invite the applicant.
Okay, I'm sorry.
And then
Okay.
Okay, yeah, my name is Vicki McElroy and I own the 308 property. And I bought it just the same day as that big breeze in Texas. Okay, and what you see is what was there when I bought it, you know, there. I'm 70 and I grew up in Minnesota, Wisconsin. So I'm used to having a garage, and it makes it easier as you get older, you know, there. I realized, you know, and looking at the code there, it's within the 3 feet, because that's where the driveway is. And, you know, I looked into attaching the garage, because that would be, you could do that with code, but there's 2 prohibitive, or actually 3 things, you know, for me, that my electrical box is outside the house. You'd have to move that because the city would need access to it. And that would move it to the other side, which would be kind of an eyesore for the neighbor, you know, to have. And then it's like 4 times more expensive, you know, and I'm on a fixed income, you know, for that. And then also the taxes or the insurance on the house would be a lot more, you know, for me, you know, there. It looks like, I can't go into the neighbor's yard and measure, but it looks like both on the right side has a carport, and that looks like it's not within the 8. And then on the left side is a old shed, and that doesn't look like it's within 8. And I took my tape measure, and, you know, I'm, you know, 5 feet from the lot line there, but the driveway is not going anywhere. All I'm asking is to go up. And, you know, I've done research. I'd like to put a 12 by 20, you know, garage there. And I've talked with, you know, a lot of, you know, builders and that, and I realized, I'm used to having, you know, a good, you know, product. So, I wouldn't put up something that was, you know, cheap, that would have a good grade of, you know, steel and upgraded roof. And then I talked, and I realized that, you know, 12 by 20 is a standard 1-car garage. And I probably will make it 21, because that way, if I sold the house, you know, someone with a truck could get their truck in there, you know, like that. But, you know, when it's on a slab like that, you know, they recommend putting Z-tabs, you know, there, so it anchors very, very well. And let me see. Yes, that's my points.
Any questions? I have no questions. That's it. Any questions? Yeah. Yeah. we have a question.
I'm thinking about. So the garage will be,
I'm sorry, before you get into that, if you want to ask if there's anybody else to speak, and if not, close the public hearing.
Oh, anyone else here to speak in this property's behalf?
No one's online.
We'll close the public hearing. 6:36 PM. There.
so the electrical box and the garage are gonna be basically just enough room for a person to pass through to get to the electrical box if they need it.
Right now, they only have 3 feet. You find cars in there. You know, that's all they have, 3 feet. Which is, code.
I think we're okay. No questions? No. We can move forward with making a recommendation. So I'll make a motion for approval. Is there a second? All right, so we take a vote.
You have to read it.
Oh, I gotta read it. We make a motion for approval, move to approve variance to encroach up to 4 feet into the required 8-foot side yard on lot 1R of the Pecan North Addition for the construction of a garage, finding that the application demonstrates the required criteria. Oh, yeah. That we adjourn? Oh, we got number 3. Oh, I didn't see number 3. Action, consideration on and action on approving minutes from the following meetings. December 1st, 2021, March 7th, 2022, April 25th, 2022, and July 25th, 2022. Absolutely. I was part of 3 of those, I'm sure of.
Yeah, part of one of them was
We hope
the
so.
last one.
I was like for a while, but.
I remember July 25 of last year.
Well, yeah. I mean, I don't have a problem with approving the minutes.
I second the motion.
Yeah.
I'll do the order tomorrow and get a signature on it, and then she should be able to give you.
Yeah, I motion to approve the meeting minutes.
Second.
I remember 3 of them. I'll tell you that for sure.
Is it a unanimous vote?
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, you didn't see us, by that way.
Oh, sorry.
That's the one time we did something right. All right, so we can now adjourn.
Yep.
The meeting. It is now 6:39 PM.
Thank you, LaShonda.
Thank y'all. Bye-bye.
Right.